Hey React Native developers, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how we can transition this image into dynamic island with a liquid blob effect. We are going to use React Native Skia and React Native reanimated library to achieve this animation. So without doing any further delay, let's get started with the code now. So in this project, I have already installed React Native Skia and React Native reanimated library, and I also cleared app.js and added dummy data with some dummy cards and an image, and we are going to animate this image with React Native Skia, and we will morph it inside the dynamic island. So first thing we have to do is we have to remove this image from the React Native, and we will import this image from the Skia. And for doing that, we also need to remove this view, and we will add it to canvas. So let's create a canvas first. So canvas is basically a place where we can draw items in the React Native Skia, and we can render the content. So in the canvas, let's create a image first. So let's import the image from the React Native Skia, and it accepts a parameter with name image. In this, we have to pass Skia image object. We can create that by const image is equal to use image. If we pass the image URL into this hook, then we can get the canvas image object, and we can pass it here. And also we need to define the width of this image. So width of this image is image size like 128, and then we will set the height. Image size. So if we save this, we will not see anything, I think. Yeah, nothing is visible because we also need to add the styling to the canvas. So let's add styling to the canvas. Style, float, canvas, and canvas will be flex 1. Now also we need to define the height and width of this view, because this is inside the scroll view, and when we are using scroll view, flex 1 will not work. So for doing that, we need to add a view outside of this where we can define the container. So it will be header container, and let's wrap this. I will set the header container height to 130, not 130, sorry, 230. And if we do that, we will be able to see the image here. But as you can see right now, the image is in the rectangular form, not in the square or in the boundation of width and height. So for doing that, we will add fit to cover. If we do that, now the image is perfectly square, but we need a rounded image, a circular image. For doing that, we need to create a rounded rectangle from React Native Skia. Let's create that. Const rounded rect is equal to, we will import rrect, and then we will add the rectangle inside this. So paddings will be 0, 0, image size, and border radius will be image size by 2 and image size by 2. And to add this rounded rectangle, we need to add the group. Let's add group here, and I will add the clip to this group. Clip will be rounded rect. Let's import this group from React Native Skia. If you do this, now you can see our image is perfectly rounded. Now we have to adjust the x-axis and y-axis of this image. I will show you how we can do that. So let's say x is equal to 20, y is equal to 20. Then it will move somewhere around here. So let's animate this. Let's create a constant for this. Const x is equal to use saved value 0. Const y is equal to use saved value 0. And we will use it everywhere. So x dot value, y dot value, x equal to x, and y is equal to y. If we do this, nothing is changed, but we have added the x and y axis on this image. And now let me make this image to center. So for making it center, let's import the width first. Width is equal to use window dimensions, and x will be width minus image size by 2. If we do this, then we can see our image is perfectly centered. And to make it the center of the header, we need to add the y value. Y value will be, I will make a constant, will be max y, so that it go only up to that y-axis. So max y will be this. And if I do this, nothing is changed. Let me see why it is not working. If I reload this, yeah, so now it is perfectly aligned to center and where it was with the React Native image. Now we have to add a dynamic island shape in our canvas. Let's add that. So it will be a rounded rectangle where r will be 30, and so total width and height of dynamic island in the compact view is 126 is the width and 37 is the height. But we will make sure our rounded rectangle come behind the original dynamic island. So we will create it. Width is equal to, let's say, const. We will make it here const. Okay. Island width is equal to 110. And we are going to use this dynamic island width, and height will be I will make the height to 26. Okay, let's make this 26. And we also need to pass the x into this. So x will be 0, y will be 0. So now if we do this, you can see we have a black rounded box here, and we need to align it behind this dynamic island. So if I move this to 20 and again this to 20, you can see our height is a little smaller right now. So to make the height equal to that, so let's make it 30. Yeah, so now it looks good. And now let's align it behind the dynamic island. So y will be 15, let's say. Yes, 15 is good. And x will be const x dynamic island is equal to so if we do this, our rounded box is now hidden behind the dynamic island, and as we scroll we can see it is there. So now let's first make sure that whenever we are scrolling our view, we don't scroll the dynamic island and we just decrease the height of this view. So for that we have to make this view an animated view, animated.view, and we also need to define the animated style is equal to use animated style. And also we need to add the on scroll so we can get the scroll by value. So let's add on scroll. Volume throttle will be 16, and we also need to disable the bounces. Let's define const on scroll. Const scroll y is equal to use set value 0. And now we will add scroll y dot value is equal to so now we have an on scroll event where we are getting it, and also as you can see we are not able to see the image because animated style is empty. So let's animate that. So height is equal to interpolate scroll y dot value 0 to max y. We will make sure when it is max y it is 70, then we will add that. And when it is 0, so height will be 230, and when it is max y it will be 0. So let's do that and let's check if it is working. Yes, it is working fine, and we can also see like height of this view is decreasing. But we also need to make sure that it stays there, so we need to animate the translate y. So let's transform translate y. It will be interpolate scroll y dot value 0 to max y, and it will be 0 or max y. If we do this, now you can see our view is perfectly there and it is not changing the position, and it always stays there. Now we need to animate the image. And how we can do this? We need to decrease the diameter of this image, like the X, Y, and also we need the image size. So to decrease the image size, we need to create an shared value const d is equal to use shared value, and it will be image size at first. And then we will use d and d. If we do this, nothing is changed. We still have that view. And now let's animate this type. So we will use the use derived value hook. And now let's interpolate the values. So first we want to change the d value, so it will be d dot value is equal to interpolate scroll y dot value 0 max y, and it will be image size to 0. And if we do this, then you can see our image is scaling down but not the circle. And to make the circle go that way, we also need to animate this rounded rectangle. And for doing that, we will use the use computed value hook from the react-native Skia. Let's do that. And I will pass the clock value inside this. So const clock is equal to use clock. And instead of image size, it will be d dot value. And if we do this, then you can see our image is perfectly scrolling down. Now we also need to animate the y value of this view. So let's do that. Y dot value is equal to interpolate scroll y dot value. If I do this, now you can see our image is going down and it is also moving to the top. But as you can see, when we are scaling it down, then the x-axis is not changing and it's still staying at that. So now let's interpolate the x value. So x dot value, it will be same always. We are not going to interpolate it. So width minus d dot value by 2. So if we do this, now you can see our image is perfectly going down. But we have an issue when we are scrolling it like this. You can see there is a blink of image height, image visible. So to fix that, we will add max y to 2 so that it scrolls early. And now it is perfectly going down inside the dynamic island. So now our almost part is done, and now we will add the blur filter to this, and we will add also color matrix. Let's add that. So first we need to create another group and wrap this dynamic island, rounded rectangle, and this image. So let's wrap this up with the group, and now we will add the layer. In layer we will pass the paint, and paint we will add the blur. Let's say blur will be 12. Let me import the paint first, and if I do this, then you can see we have a blur on our views. But we also want to make sure that when the max y value is 0, when scroll y value is 0, so blur should be 0. So let's animate the blur with shared value. So const blur is equal to use shared value 0. Initially it will be 0, but when we are scrolling it, it will be increased that way. Const value interpolate scroll y dot value. And I want to make sure that at the half of the scroll max y value, we want to make sure the blur is full, and after that blur again goes to 0. So for doing that, 0, it's 30, and let's say it will be 35. At 35 we want to make sure the blur is again 0. So 0, 12, and 0. We will also pass blur here. So now as you can see, when we are scrolling it, we are getting the blur effect, and when we are scroll it enough, then we are disabling the blur effect properly. So it is working fine now, and now we will add the color matrix which will show the magic of dynamic island and this liquid blob effect. So now let's add that. It will be color matrix, and I will pass the matrix into this. So it is in the format of RGBA and bias, and we will play with the alpha and bias value. So let's do that. 1 0 0 0, again 0 1. So initially I will show you if I do it 0 0 0 only. Then what we will see? We are not seeing anything, and if I change this value, let's say 20, then I can see the image, and I can also see there is an effect on this image and the dynamic island. But as we are adding color matrix alpha to 20, we are getting this blurry effect, and it's not clear. And to make it clear, to make the opacity of the objects clear, we will add the bias value, and it is alpha minus bias. So then we will make this object clear. So let's say if I add 2, then you can see we have something very clear right now. At the 0 it was something like this, and minus 2 it is somewhat visible, but still it's not clear. So we will add minus 7, and if you do this, you can see we have a nice effect of liquid blob on the image. So now it looks good. We also need to make sure, like when we end the drag, when we leave the scroll and it is at this value, it automatically goes back to default value at the 0. So for doing that, we will add a scroll ref and scroll it to 0. Const scroll ref is equal to use ref ref is equal to scroll ref, and on scroll and drag I will add this function. If scroll y not value is smaller than 30, I'm using 30 because we are doing the blur on 30, so I will do it. So we will scroll to 0. So let's do that, and if I am somewhere in this, then I will automatically go to 0. We have a nice blur effect, but we are still missing an important part of this video, which is when we scroll it down, when we blur it, we need the image to be blackish, not the blurry. So to make the black filter, we will add a black circle on this image, and we will make the opacity or color of that black circle to transparent and black when we have scroll y value. So let's do that. I'll add a circle. Again, R will be D. And X is equal to 0, Y is equal to 0. If we do this, we are not getting anything. Let me refresh it. Yeah, so it is not showing anything because in the circle it accepts, it comes from the center, not from the starting point. So it will be CX and CY. And now let's add the color, will be black. It is not visible, but if we add the CX value as X and CY value as Y, then we can see like this was clipped inside this group. That's why it was not shown in this image when we were adding X and Y to 0. And if we add X to this value and Y to this value, then we can see it. But still it's not covering the full part because it starts from the center and this starts from the start. So to make it centered, I will add X dot value plus 50. If I add the 50 in this, then our circle covers the whole image, and we also need to make sure that we interpolate the color based on the scroll by value. So let's interpolate the color. Const color is equal to use shade value. Initially it will be transparent, and when we scroll we will make it black, and we will pass it here. I do this, now it looks good, and let's interpolate the color. So color will be color dot value is equal to interpolate color. Value will be scroll by dot value 0. So if you see it here, like we are blurring it at 30 value, and we are also making the size of diameter of the circle at 35. So color of this value we will change at 20. So it will be 20. And now let's add transparent and black. If we do this, and we have already added the color, it works as expected. So now I think this animation looks complete, and you can see we have a nice effect of the transition of the image from a circle round image to dynamic island. Like it is a black box which is getting the image inside it, and when we are scrolling down we are getting the effect of this image to again at its value. So that's all for this video. I hope you liked it, and if you have any questions you can comment on the video. Please do subscribe to my channel if you like this type of content and animations in mobile applications. Thank you.